The N64 Banjo Kazooie games are honestly two of my favorite games of all time. No. Anyways, Banjo Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are classic games of the N64 era. But did you know there are two Banjo Kazooie games that no one ever talks about? And I'm not talking about nuts and bolts over there. The Banjo Kazooie games on N64 were classics, setting off to hunt Jiggies, rescue Jinjos, learn some new moves and transformations, and accidentally becoming a washing machine from time to time, all happening throughout your journey as you go to take down the nasty Gruntilda. These games were the perfect blend of unique locations, lovable characters, exciting platforming, and witty charm, all wrapped up into one perfect package, with the exception of a bad rhyme from Grunty once in a while. I always saw videos growing up about how we never got the infamous Banjo-Threeie on GameCube that we all hoped and prayed for. So I assume that after the N64 titles, that's all that existed, until the unholy mess that is Nuts and Bolts came along. It was just a few weeks ago when I was scrolling on Facebook, stumbled across a post from my local game store showing off some new games hitting the floor that day, and right in the bottom corner of one of the pictures was not one, but two Banjo Kazooie games I had never heard of. My jaw dropped to the floor when I saw that post, and after work I ran right over there to go and pick up Grunty's Revenge and Banjo Pilot. These games are home to completely different genres, with Grunty's Revenge being a top-down platformer, while Banjo Pilot is an aerial racing game. But both are more like the N64 games than you could imagine. I could not wait to sit down and start playing these games, so as soon as I got home, I decided let's start with the one that closely resembles the N64 games that I love so much. So we're going to talk about first, Banjo Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. The big question I had going into this game was, how do you take this and turn it into this, while keeping the same charm and fun of the original games? It wasn't more than maybe a few minutes into my first playthrough of this game that something clicked for me. This game is so identical to the Spyro Game Boy Advance games that were a huge part of my childhood. There are so many similarities in how Spyro and Banjo transitioned from being console 3D platformers to portable 2D platformers, with Spyro making the jump in 2001 and Banjo waiting a bit longer until 2003. Both games successfully captured the identity of what made their 3D counterparts so special, while creating a whole new story and environment, keeping things fresh and exciting. In Grunty's Revenge, you will see a very similar cast of characters from the N64 games, including Banjo and Kazooie, Mumbo Jumbo, Bungo, and Grunty, albeit of the dead and metal variety, with tons of fun and new supporting cast as well. With the exception of a few returning areas like Spiral Mountain, Grunty Industries, and Grunty's Lair, the rest of the world is brand new, bringing us to the Cliff Farm, Breagle Beach, Bad Magic Bayou, Spiller's Harbor, and finally Freezing Furnace. All of these new environments and levels, they really feel like they fit and they feel at home in this franchise, carrying over the same character and identity and charm that all of the worlds of Banjo Kazooie and Tooie also exhibit. The moveset, while a little less smooth in its control, is mostly intact from the 3D games, including all of Kazooie's movement options, attacks, and egg-firing abilities. The game is truly inspired by the N64 games and the collectathon formula. Each of the 6 worlds has 10 Jiggies to collect, 5 Jinjos to rescue, 100 music notes to grab, and an assortment of Mumbo tokens throughout. During the course of the game, you'll have multiple fights with Grunty's henchman Klungo as he tries to stop you from destroying the mechanical witch, as well as a handful of minigames that award you Jiggies for winning them. In my opinion, the minigames is kind of where this game falls a bit flat. Now, I don't hold it against the game too much because it is a Game Boy Advance game and options are probably limited in what they could incorporate while also building out these big worlds. But the minigames are kind of repetitive at times, and some of them just really aren't that fun. But honestly, having to replay that slide minigame with a slight variation was a little tiresome and definitely my least favorite part of the game. Ultimately, once you collect enough Jiggies, you're given access to Grunty's lair, and oh boy does the difficulty jump. It is the end of the game, of course. The lair itself consists of just the boss fight and Grunty's Furnace fun trivia game, similarly to the original Banjo Kazooie. But even if you got all the honeycomb upgrades, you cannot fall asleep at the wheel because you will get punished, and this fight is a long one. You do not want to be starting over, which I had to do several times. After a first phase fight, you're invited to play a knockoff version of Grunty's Furnace Fun, in which you will either be asked to replay and win a minigame you've already played throughout your journey, or you'll be asked a trivia question along the lines of, what makes this sound, or where would you find me? Where would you find me? I don't know, a toilet? Winning the best 2 out of 3 leads you into phase 2, before sending you back to the trivia game for a best 5 out of 9 this time. And in true Banjo Kazooie fashion, once you beat Grunty at Furnace Fun Trivia, you head up to the top of the tower and showdown with Grunty for the final time of the game. Here we fight a quicker, more aggressive Mecha Grunty, with the spirit of Grunty being slowly dislodged and ripped from the mech suit until we eventually destroy the mech for good, and Grunty is gone for now, at least until the events of Banjo-Tooie. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention earlier, this game takes place in between the events of Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie, specifically right after you end Banjo Kazooie. The more you know. And what do we get for a reward for all of our efforts? We get to go down a slide during the credits. It's another slide minigame. Collecting coins during the credits unlocks the ability to replay minigames, not that you'd want to, but you can at the arcade cabinet in Spiller's Harbor. Unfortunately, you cannot get enough coins to unlock everything from one trip down the credits. So in order to 100% this game, you gotta redo the final boss fight, which is so stupid and such a waste of time and not worth the effort. So after beating Grunty again and going down the slide, I amassed 160 coins and I can now officially say I 100% beat this game. Now, while this Banjo-Kazooie game was a true Banjo-Kazooie platformer collectathon, the other game we're gonna talk about, Banjo Pilot, is more along the lines of, what if we took Mario Kart Super Circuit and added planes? Planes. Cool. Releasing January 12, 2005, a few months after the Nintendo DS first launched in North America, Banjo Pilot flew onto the scene as a pretty obscure and unknown entry in the Banjo series of games. Originally, this game was slated to be Diddy Kong Pilot before the acquisition of Rareware by Microsoft, which caused them to lose the rights to the characters in Diddy Kong Racing. Taking heavy inspiration still from the N64 Kong Racer, such as the power-ups, boost panels, and of course, the planes. And this game, with a fresh Banjo skin slapped onto it, ended up becoming one hell of a racing title, and is really faithful to the games in the franchise that came before it. While this game looks and plays like your typical Mode 7 Game Boy Advance racing game akin to Mario Kart Super Circuit, but with planes instead of karts, and the items in the races having different skins but similar properties, I find the actual gameplay a lot more fun than your standard kart racer. As far as game modes go, this game actually has quite a bit more to offer than Mario Kart Super Circuit, which, to be fair, did come out 4 years prior. Banjo Pilot, at its core, when it comes down to just the gameplay and the game modes that are present, it is such an incredible game. And despite some of the people saying that it didn't live up to the hype and praise of Mario Kart, I think it's the better game. On top of having 16 racetracks, 13 of which are inspired directly by levels in previous entries in the series, you have the standard Grand Prix, time trial, and quick race modes, 4 battle tracks, 8 dogfight boss battles, 2 special Grand Prix, and the Jiggy Challenge races, all packed into one amazing racing experience. In the beginning, you get access to the Bottles Grand Prix, which has 4 sets of 4 races each, which end with a boss fight against another character. Completing these 4 sets of races will give you the opportunity to go head-to-head in a dogfight with Kazooie, Humblewumba, Banjo, and Bottles respectively. That is already a heck of a good lineup of racetracks and boss battles, especially in a game that is on the Game Boy Advance where the limitations exist. The only downside I would say is that some of the tracks' themes definitely are, I would say, shared between some of the different tracks. You can see a little bit of carryover between them. Before continuing, I should mention, Cheeto makes an appearance in this game where you can return lost Cheeto pages to him in exchange for rewards like tracks, characters, globos, and more. Once you have enough Cheeto pages, you can redeem the Grunty Grand Prix, where you race through the same 4 sets of races as the Bottles Grand Prix, but with the tracks all being reversed, similarly to Mario Kart's Mirror Mode. The difference this time being that the computer racers are better and the boss fights are harder, putting you against the likes of Jolly Roger, Mumbo Jumbo, Klungo, and of course, Grunty yourself. After taking down both the Bottles Grand Prix and the Grunty Grand Prix, I'd suggest at this point we should go check out the Jiggy Challenge before we get into the 2 special cups. Keeping the spirit of the collectathon alive and well even in this racing game, this game mode has you race Bottles head-to-head on each of the 16 tracks, with the catch that there's now 6 Jiggies hidden throughout the course, kind of like your standard collectathon. Collecting the Jiggies and winning the race on all 16 tracks will unlock the best racer in the game, Bottles. And if you want a chance at winning either of the special cups, I highly suggest you get him because he is the best racer in the game. His stats, not comparable to anybody else's. When you're ready, we return to take on the special cups, starting with the Endurance Grand Prix, in which you race through all 16 tracks, uninterrupted, and then the Jinjo Grand Prix, where you race against 7 Jinjos containing 2 new colors, cyan and pink, kinda cool, that are exclusive to this game across 6 random tracks. Getting through the special Grand Prix are not too hard at this point in the game, having raced so many times, but in order to 100% complete this game, you'll need to get all the Platinum trophies, which require you to come first on each race of each Grand Prix in one go. Between the Jiggy Challenge, the Grand Prix, the Platinum trophies, and the general replay loop of any good racing game, this game just offers up such a wonderful experience, and I really hope that you guys watching this video take the time to get access to a copy of this game and try it out for yourselves, because I think it's really an underrated Game Boy Advance game, an underrated racing game, and hey, might be the most underrated Banjo Kazooie game. Oh, and a bonus, no slide minigames. Nowadays, it is so incredibly rare to stumble across a game in a franchise that you love this much, especially two games in this case, where the franchise doesn't have a lot of games to begin with. I cannot believe that I was missing out on these two incredible games this entire time. I would say the perfect word to describe both of these games is cozy. While Grunty's Revenge and Banjo Pilot offer up a lot of nostalgia to the N64 games, both are enjoyable standalone and unique gaming experiences that stretch the love I have of this franchise even further. Both of these games can be played through quickly, but also hit the sweet spot between good old Banjo and Kazooie fun and bite-sized levels of Grand Prix that allow for quick gaming sessions. Let me know down in the comments which of these games you found the most interesting and which one you'd want to play first. And if you're someone who actually was exposed to these games before, let me know what you thought of them, and did you have the same amount of fun I did? Because if so, I'd love to hear about it. I want to thank you again for watching this video, and I hope you subscribe and leave a like down below so that we can discover more forgotten games together for the first time in the future. See you in the next one. Cheers.